So it's full drift mode. Just hang on the hand? No? Okay. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Rennch. On today's show, I'm going to catch you up on what I've done on the assembly of the Blasphemy build, and we are going to continue the process of putting this thing together for SEMA. Well, welcome back to the channel. If you are brand new here, behind me is a 1969 Porsche 911S that was converted to a race car. I've converted it back to a 1971 911 ST, and I'm putting a Subaru twin turbo EZ30R flat 6 in the back. If you want to ask why, go back and watch a few episodes ago. And by a few, I mean like 50. Anyway, I've made some progress since we last saw each other. The last video was amazing. Loved all of your feedback. Thank you for that. And I'm going to take you through everything I've done in the last couple of days. There are a number of things I still can't do. Things that I have to wait on something on, like Cerakote, for instance, has to be here so I can do the suspension stuff. Now, there is a chance that I bag it and spray it with my favorite chassis black from VHT. But for now, I'm still thinking I'm going to do the Cerakote thing. Depends on the timing involved. Before I go any further though, two things I need from you guys. For my Japanese speaking viewers, does this say Porsche? That I need to know. And for my German speaking viewers, the code name for this build has always been Lastern, Lastern, which I think is German for to blaspheme. But can you guys confirm that? Lastern. Does this mean to blaspheme? I bring it up because it's a more interesting name than the Blasphemy build. Lastern is kind of a cool word. Anyway, I did a bunch. I'm going to show you guys what I've done. And my philosophy on this is if I can complete it and like check it off the list, I'm doing it. And that's kind of where I am with a bunch of these little projects. There are maybe a few things I could have done in the 11 weeks while I was waiting for the car, but not that much. Maybe an hour of like sandblasting and some other stuff. But I needed the car. I needed to measure stuff. I needed the transmission in. And I wanted to get the thing in front of me so that I could make accurate measurements. So here we are. And I'm going to take you guys through what I've done in the last couple of days. All right, I'm going to start back to front here, guys, and we're going to end up with what we are doing today on the show. First and foremost, first thing I did is I bolted the engine in. Kind of funny, though, as I released the stand, the whole car like tipped up because there's nothing else in it. So don't do that. That's a thing we should not do. I also got my spring plates on. These lovely pieces of kit are from Carbon 12 Racing. Absolutely follow him on Instagram. He's building a tube chassis modified, I don't even know what it is, almost like a 50s or 60s era race car himself, and it's really killer. I started the process of putting some Kills mat in the car. And by the way, I had a few boxes of this donated to the Amazon wish list. And if you guys want to help the channel, you can do a couple things. Number one, you can grab items on the Amazon wish list, which are very necessary. Or right now, cash is king. I definitely need some cash. I put some, my Venmo is MTO, EMPTYO. And if you guys are interested in donating, let me know and I can give you the verification codes. So, got some of that on there. Taped a bit of this up just because this thing's been coming up and down a lot. I put one of the Rennch, these are like locking hood shocks. So once they open, they just lock out. And then basically you have to lift the hood a little bit to get them to drop again. So I love these things. You should definitely get them for your car. I installed my dual brake booster. This is my dual master cylinder with brake bias in there. That thing's already like really clean. I cleaned it up a little bit. Something I'm very proud of are these. So these are the top of the adjustable camber front struts. And I've got these nice and dialed in with new hardware, polished them up, and they look awesome. Underneath, I got the radiators installed, but they're not permanently installed, and I actually need to do a somewhat major project to these things, which is what we're gonna do today. You can see I've got some purple tape here, and that's because like the corner of the radiator is butted right up against the inside of this piece here. And the same thing here, when the bumper's on, the bumper hits this corner. So I actually want to trim these pieces of radiator off, and we're gonna have to weld on, I say we, but it's not gonna be me, weld on like a new triangle panel on the top and bottom here, so the bumper tucks under really well. So that's part of that. And then finally, I've started mocking up what the hole is going to look like in the front bumper. Now, mind you, this is going to have this cool grill on the front, and I've done all of these different measurements. And what you do in Fusion 360 is you can basically take something like this, which is a ruler, take a picture of the thing that you want to measure, import this into Fusion, and then just tell Fusion, hey, this equals 1 inch. So you can use the software to say, this thing equals 1 inch, and then it will actually scale this thing appropriately. So I'm gonna make a cutout, much like I did here. I'm not sure if I actually showed this video yet, but I made this skeleton for the cutouts of my bumper and for the exhaust tips. This is my like test bumper, and then this is the real one. So I'm making sure that thing works first, and then we're gonna go with it. And finally, I built myself this little cart. I refurbished it the other day, put a nice paint job on it, and I wanted basically an assembly cart, something where I had access to all of my tools. I even marked every single one, because the idea here is I don't want to leave any tools as I'm working on this thing. I want this thing to be so easy and efficient to work on, because I don't want to deal with having to find tools and stuff every time I want to work on the car. So what we're going to do today, starting right now, is I'm going to pull both of these radiators off. I'm going to look at where I have marked so that we can trim them. And then I'm going to either make cardboard templates or just order a piece of aluminum that I can use to basically have this stuff welded on. And then I'm going to figure out who's going to weld these things up for me. All right, this is legit nerve-wracking. These are beautiful radiators. I actually have no idea what to expect underneath. I'm hoping it's just a hole, and then I can weld these sort of triangle pieces, or somebody can weld, ain't gonna be me. Somebody can weld these triangle pieces back on. And yeah, but you know, we just send it around these parts. That's what we do. I got a little cutter on this. Good news. It's just a hole. Okay, so that went really well. What I was hoping for, which is just a big open hole underneath the sides, was exactly that. So I'm gonna refit the radiators to the car, fit the front bumper on and make sure that it tucks in tight like I want it to. Here's a closer look on what I just did. I cut this corner off and I cut this leading corner off. The leading corner so the bumper can tuck underneath. And I did the same thing, obviously, on both of these. One there and then one in this corner. Okay, that worked great. Way more room than I had before. Like the bumper was butting literally up against the radiators before, and now I have like a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch of space.
Hey, what's up, dudes? So here's where we are. I've done a bunch of stuff since we last saw each other, and I'm going to take you through it right now. A couple of small wins is got my latch panel on, but the thing that I spent the most time on and the thing that is complete now is the sound deadening. I spent many hours on the sound deadening. It's not completely done yet, so I still have to do the inside of the tunnel with this gold tape, and then I'll do the outside of the tunnel as well. So it's going to be double insulated against heat and noise. I did it in this order because I have to get the battery in there. I've got to put seats in here to figure out exactly where they need to go and how much space I have, because I'm still considering, like, look how good this thing looks. Imagine that the silver is actually carpeting and you still see this lovely sort of dynamic section out in the world. I really think it looks cool. So I may keep it like that, but I needed to get this stuff in just to protect the floor while I bring, you know, seats in and out and things like that. So that's why I did what I did. So next I am going to actually trial fit a seat in on the passenger side and the driver's side, so I can see how much room I have behind it. I've got these roll bars that are cutting through behind the seat, and I don't exactly know how I'm going to, if there's enough space for the battery back there. If there is, I would like to see if I can put it back there. I can't really put it in the front where I would love to, because the classic retrofit air conditioning goes in that spot, and I can't fit both in there. So I've got some space situations I have to deal with, and working on it. Working on all of it right now. Doing this so I can have some idea of, oh, that's nice, of how much space I have behind for the battery and such things. There we go. This would probably maybe one more notch up. What's up, ladies? Guys want to go for a ride in my Porsche? Huh? That's not how you pronounce it? Wow. Remember playing Outrun in the arcade? No, the truck one. Remember the truck one in the arcade? Off-road. It was called Off-Road. And you go around the corner like, zah, zah. Yeah, it was great. That's what happens when you've got no steering rack. Nothing's connected. So it's full drift mode. Just hang on. No? Okay. All right, let's leave this here-ish. And let's see if the battery fits. This is my Haltech Elite ECU, which I'd originally intended on putting up here, but I'm actually considering putting it under the seat instead. And that leaves this open for carpeting. Which means that I could pretend I have plenty of space up here, under here rather. So I could do that. The other thing is, will I have enough space for my battery? I've got this nice mount from Rennch, like this lovely battery mount from Rennch. And it looks like if I want to, I could mount it here. I could even mount it there if I wanted to, behind the seat, and pass the positive and negative, like massive leads through the firewall. That could be a thing. All right, so I may be changing my mind on a design decision. Originally, I was going to put the Haltech on that side. Haltech was going to be in that seat pan on the passenger side. The battery was going to be on the seat pan on this side. But I think what I'm going to do is I think I might put the battery behind the driver's seat and put the cables right through this back firewall. And the reason why I'm thinking driver's seat is because it's not moving. Once I'm in it and it's set, it's gonna just sort of be that way. I've got a little bit of wiggle room in the back, but as long as I give it a couple more inches, I should be okay. Ah, damn it. All right, this is pretty far back. I could go a little further, but I think this could work. Hi there. In an effort to build this car from
kind of the inside out, I want to address the tunnel first. The tunnel is going to house a lot of things. It's going to house my radiator lines, fuel, brake, clutch, and now wiring. I've decided to, instead of running the wiring through the heater tube, which is where I had it kind of during the mock-up, I'm going to run it through the channel that's actually designed for the wiring in the tunnel. So what I'm doing now is I'm using this mega expensive tape, and I'm lining the inside of the tunnel. So this is heat reflective tape. Hopefully it's going to keep the heat. I'm going to have that tape in. I'm going to have the insulation around the lines, and then I'm going to actually have the kill mat over the tunnel as well. So I'm going to hopefully be triple play in terms of insulating the heat from coming into the cabin from the radiator lines. I had a buddy out yesterday, and we did a little bit of this initial tunnel, but I'm going to try to wrap this video up by lining the inside of the tunnel with this tape. So one thing I noticed is that the tape wasn't sticking at all. And that's because I literally I just tried to stick it on instead of actually cleaning the thing and using some wax and grease remover. So I am going to use some wax and grease remover and clean the tunnel enough so that this tape sticks a little better. And once that's done, I think I'll probably wrap this video up, and then I'm going to try to sandblast some stuff so I can refurbish it. And in the next video, I'll do steering rack and some of the suspension stuff that I can do now before the Cerakote. It's also possible I skip the Cerakote altogether. I actually don't have that much to Cerakote. I've got a big aluminum cross member. We'll see. Everything's kind of fluid now because what I really needed to do is get the car back from paint. That was the most important part, because while I can push a car that doesn't work to SEMA, but is painted, I can't drive a car that's completely unpainted to SEMA. It's also possible we don't make it to SEMA. Who knows? Nevertheless, I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to get this tunnel done right now. Check it out. Pretty cool, guys. Let me show you this. Feeling very NASA-like in there. So I've got the whole tunnel lined with this heat reflective tape. Hopefully it's okay. I think I'll do a quick little test fit of the Dime PSI hoses, and then I'm gonna call it. Guys, that was a great initial sesh. Let's cover what I did. Got the hood shocks in, got the top of the shock towers, the camber adjusters, all polished up and installed. Installed my brake booster, which has the front and rear bias adjustment, super cool. Front hood latch is in. I cut the radiators to modify them, made sure my front bumper fit really nice and tight. On the inside of the car, did the entire sound deadening. That was 5 or 6 hours well spent. Over the last couple of days, I was able to line the inside of the tunnel with the gold reflective tape. Did a quick dry mock-up of all of my hoses inside the tunnel. I made a big engineering decision, which was to run the electrical from the fuse panel that's going to be under the passenger side through the tunnel. So that's going to power the starter and all that stuff from the front dashboard and the fuse panel to the back. You know, taillights and that kind of thing. Got the engine in and out. I put some temporary carpeting and roll bar protection just to protect the paint on the inside of the car. I found my quarter windows and laid those up to see how they fit. I'm actually gonna have to polish those so they match the front window frames, which I still have to finish. But all in all, a really good first session. This was basically around a week of work. Next, I'm going to try to clean up the suspension components, get the wiring run, and then start the Haltech wiring situation. Get my radiators welded up, run the fuel system, and then just turn the key and that's perfect. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying this as much as I am. This is a really exciting time in the Blasphemy build because it's like I get to put new stuff on the car and bolt it up for keeps. All right, I'll see you guys next time.